Laci and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe, and I get more ass than a toilet.
Is it true that you can leap over a chair?
I'm the king of the trap, Ayo, trouble, jump.
What's up, guys? And today I'm making a newer type of video, going back on my plans of making a video on feminists. Because of this whole rag situation, I got a little off track. Yeah, today I'm going to be talking about Laci Green. Don't know who that is? Well, you are praised, but not for long, because you're going to watch this video. Now, Laci Green has a YouTube channel where she talks about sex education, gender, and all that shit, feminist stuff, basically. Now, I do think it's a little silly that there are more than two genders, and that people say that gender is a social construct. But I mean, it's like when a feminist goes on damage control. They use the definition of feminism as a way to clear everything up, when really sometimes they don't even use the correct definition. So without further ado, let's get into this video.
The rumors are true. What they've been saying about me. I have to come clean. I, Laci Green, am a feminist. What? You're a lesbian now? Man-hater, hairy armpits. Ain't it so? It's gonna be okay. Those are just stereotypes.
It really isn't just a stereotype, though. At least some of them are. The man-hater thing is a little bit true with most feminists, and some feminists won't even let men be feminists. They just call them allies. So while they're not entirely true, some feminists live up to the stereotypes.
I think that feminism is both kick-ass and super important, and here are a few of my reasons why.
Now here she displays the definition of what feminism is. If we type it into Google and look it up on Wikipedia, it's something a little bit different. But let's just say that this is right. What it says is a social movement for gender and sex equality. It almost sounds like egalitarianism, which states the principle that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities, while the definition of feminism is the advocacy of women's rights on the grounds of political, social, and economic equality to men. It sounds like gender equality, but really it's not.
I'm a feminist because girls are taught in public school that once she has sex, she'll lose a part of herself.
It's called virginity. Of course you're gonna lose a part of yourself. It's virginity. Everyone loses it. They teach that in public school. They even teach it to boys too. You make it sound as if it's a bad thing.
Because women who have a lot of sex are sluts while guys are studs.
It's not a double standard. No man is ever going to congratulate another man for sleeping around. Neither is a woman. I would have never congratulated any of my friends for sleeping around. That's just a scummy thing to do. And if somebody's going to date you, and you tell them that you slept with like 23 guys before you met them, I'm pretty sure they would rethink their choices.
I'm a feminist because I was told the first time I had sex would be painful and bloody. I was terrified.
What is the point of you saying this? You're just telling us that for the first time you'd ever do it, it would be scary and bloody and painful. What does this have to do with you being a feminist exactly? Are you saying that they're wrong? You saying this, you just sound like an idiot.
Because 1 in 4 young women is assaulted and society still asks, what was she wearing?
First of all, the 1 in 4 women thing is debunked. Second of all, cops only ask what the victim was wearing if it's relevant to the case. If you were walking around with no pants on outside, you would probably get raped. Not saying that it's right that that would happen, but it's like counting money outside. Somebody will jump you.
Because male victims of rape aren't believed since guys want sex all the time anyway, right?
It is true that men have been raped by women, and while most people would think that's silly, it is something that does happen. But Laci Green, you don't have the mind of a man, nor would you know what each individual man thinks.
Because of catcalling and street harassment, because no, it is not a f***ing compliment.
Is catcalling still a thing? Like, I can see a guy yelling stupid shit at you, but it doesn't mean that you have to get rid of compliments altogether.
I'm a feminist because my first boyfriend sexually assaulted me, and when I went to my friends for help, they called me a slut.
First of all, you didn't elaborate on what happened. I can see that if you're the victim, then you wouldn't want to talk about it. But I need an explanation for why your friends called you a slut.
Because when I speak at universities about the absolute necessity of consent, there are people in the audience who laugh.
They're not laughing at the idea of consent, Laci. They're laughing at you. Also, I've seen a really weird post where a woman was trying to get her ex-boyfriend put in jail because they had sex, but then because they broke up, she tried to get him in jail for rape after they broke up. Does that make a lot of sense to you?
Because boobs are used to sell everything from burgers to soap, but don't you dare breastfeed out in the open.
I've never actually seen a problem with breastfeeding in the open, but then again, you're completely avoiding the fact that men are also used for advertising. Breastfeeding is a whole different ballpark. I don't know if a lot of men would be happy if their wives were breastfeeding in public. It's different for a model because that's what she's being paid to do. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't think a lot of guys would be happy if their wives were doing it in public.
Because this shocks and terrifies people. I'm not even kidding. You should see some of the looks that I get.
I don't care if you shave or not. Put your fucking arms down. It's optional for men, and it's also optional for women. You're not exactly proving a point by not shaving, so quit it.
I'm a feminist because of how much pressure we put on girls to value their appearance above everything else. Because of labiaplasties, boob jobs, hymenoplasties.
I've never seen anything, nor learned anything, about anybody saying that women need to focus on their appearance more than anything. Also, all the things you named are optional. They're not a requirement.
Because our culture considers it normal to cut off part of an infant's penis.
Everyone's presented with equal opportunity when they're born. Have you seen what they do to women in other countries? I mean, really, have you ever seen that? Because it is damaging. I mean, it's literally foreskin you're talking about. On a guy, I don't think it's that much of a deal. On a girl, it's much different.
I'm a feminist because male orgasm in the movies is rated PG-13, while female orgasm is rated R.
Laci, you are complaining about an orgasm in a fucking movie. Does it really matter? It's a fucking orgasm.
I'm a feminist because in 2013 there were over 700 bills proposed to regulate a woman's body. And for men, the rightful number, 0.
While I support your freedom to do whatever you want with your body, I don't exactly think that getting an abortion 7 times in a row is a good idea.
I'm a feminist because the political body making decisions about my body is over 80% male. Wow.
It doesn't mean that you have to hate men. It just means that there's less women in the house. I mean, what do you expect? But if you take a little look at this chart I'm displaying here, you can see at the very bottom is liberal arts and sciences, general studies, and humanities. So what does that say? That means that they're making the choice not to be in that department. And that's what it comes down to. Women have the choice to do what they want. They're not held down by invisible boundaries like most feminists say.
Because men occupy the top rungs of not just politics, but every industry in the world.
I'm not saying women don't have the right to choose. I'm just saying we don't have to force them to do jobs that they don't want to do. As you can see by this chart, these are the most jobs that women choose to do. Again, nobody's forcing them to do these things. They're not held down by invisible barriers.
I'm a feminist because jobs! Women only hold 1 in 4 STEM jobs. We own 6% of TV stations, 5% of executive positions in the media.
Again, that's what women choose to do. There is no gender segregation going on here. It's only you, Laci.
Yeah, because when I was younger and I took on a leadership role, all the adults in my life said, "You're being bossy."
Well, if your parents are telling you that you're being bossy, maybe you were being a little unfair to the other children. I mean, you're not really giving me a context of what you're talking about. You just said every time that you assume a leadership role that you're considered bossy. And being as the type of person that you are, you do sound bossy. So you being a feminist is no surprise.
And let's not forget that sneaky little pay gap. By the time the average woman reaches 60 years old, she will have made $450,000 less than a man in the same exact position.
Okay, so this pay gap thing is a little weird. White women get 78 cents to the dollar, but the minority, which is something that you guys don't exactly talk about, gets paid significantly less. African American women get 64 cents to the dollar, Hispanic women get 56 cents to a dollar, and Asian women get 80 cents to a dollar. Gender pay gap is the average earnings of all men and women working full-time. It does not take account for differences in occupation, positions, education, and hours worked per week. In short, the gender pay gap is a myth.
At my first job, I learned that my less qualified male coworker was making almost twice as much as me.
You're doing it again. You're not explaining how he was less qualified. You're not even telling us how long he worked there. You're not even telling us the job positions. You didn't explain shit.
I'm a feminist because the media told me that women are my competition, destroying my friendships with them for almost 20 years.
Who says that? You and I both know that you're fucking lying.
It's because gender roles! Because of that one-size-fits-all binary that shoves us into boxes and erases who we are.
I don't know where you're getting this information from, but you are fucking wrong. Nobody shoved us into gender roles. There are some gender roles that we do follow. For example, I think a man should take care of his wife or girlfriend and make them feel safe. But is that a bad thing? No, it's not. And nobody ever said that you had to conform to those gender roles. Just don't think that there are more than 2 genders.
I'm a feminist because in 10th grade someone called my best friend a pussy and it tore him up for weeks. And I realized the worst insult was to be compared to a woman.
First of all, being called a pussy derives from the word pusillanimous. The definition of it, showing a lack of courage or determination. He was not being called a female body part. He was being called a coward. Now, if the boy called him a vagina and he got mad, I honestly do not know what to say about that, because you're in the 10th grade and some kid called him a vagina. But no, the kid did not call him a vagina. He called him a pussy, a coward. Get your shit straight.
Because boys are shamed for being emotionally open, because that's a girl thing.
Again, you're doing that gender role thing, and I don't think it's bad that men show their emotions. Usually it's other men saying, "Why are you showing your emotions?" It's not society, it's the person who's saying it.
And womanhood is weak. Never mind the fact that it was most likely a woman who pushed your body out of her vagina.
Because that's what you're designed to do, you dumb fuck. Women aren't weak. Men are just biologically stronger than them. Don't get mad at facts.
I'm a feminist because my father never once did the laundry, made dinner, or cleaned the house.
Your father sounds lazy.
When I suggested he help, my grandpa told me I was out of my damn mind.
Hope you realize that you're talking to your grandpa, a person who lived through all that gender discrimination shit. The way he grew up was different from you, Laci. Just be aware of that. He lived in a time when feminism was actually a thing. Now it's just weird.
I'm a feminist because people still say that asexual, bisexual, and trans folk don't exist.
First of all, asexual and bisexual are sexualities. Though I don't agree with the asexual lifestyle, it's still a sexuality that people can choose. Bisexual people can be bisexual, but transgender people can't be transgender forever. When you're transgender, you're transitioning to the opposite sex, hence the trans in there. When you fully become a woman or fully become a man, then you have successfully transitioned and now are a male or female. You're still not transgender. So not everyone thinks that they don't exist. It's closed-minded people who think that. Not everyone.
Because in 34 states, it's legal to discriminate against someone who's transgender. Really?
If you haven't realized it, these aren't feminine problems. These aren't feminist problems. Transgender problems do not go on to feminists. Ethnicity problems do not go on to feminists. So stop intervening with stuff that doesn't have anything to do with your ideology. Black Lives Matter only cares about black lives, but get offended when people say all lives matter.
I'm a feminist because representation! It matters! And LGBT folks, women, and particularly women of color, hardly ever have their stories told on screen.
Alright, well, that's just... Are we really talking about this? Is this really a problem? This isn't really a problem at all. Also, you're using different years. Why didn't you just use in general? Because it wouldn't support your claim, now would it?
I'm a feminist because I believe that the world should be safe for girls.
The world should be safe for everyone in the world, not just women.
Everywhere. Because half the girls in Yemen will become child brides. Because 65% of Brazilians believe that a woman who dresses in revealing clothes deserves to be raped. Because in Saudi Arabia, women still can't vote or drive.
Feminism is a thing that is actually required in other countries. This is the only thing I will ever agree with Laci Green on. Other than that, she's an idiot. These are actually valid points, not stupid bullshit that Western women apparently face. When really it's just a small minority of women who still think that women don't have enough rights.
I'm a feminist because in every corner of the world, every day, women's bodies are used as a battleground in wars started by men. Raped, beaten, sold into slavery, mutilated, burned with acid.
There you go, blaming men for everything again. And you say that it's not a stereotype. How did she even get a chart of statistics for something that weird? I don't know, I just feel like it's out of place. Also, look at the time frame. 1980 to 2009. I'm not saying the sexual violence should have been done at all. I'm saying there's not a lot of it between that time frame.
I'm a feminist because when I dare to get pissed off at injustice, I'm just another angry feminist who's on her period.
I wouldn't doubt that you were on your period when you made this. I wouldn't doubt that you're on your period all the time. Also, the injustice you talk about isn't really injustice. You're just being picky. Most feminists are being picky.
I'm a feminist because of the reality that there are people who would take these words more seriously
if they were coming out of my mouth.
No, not really. If a man were saying it, still would have called them an idiot. Just because it's a man doesn't mean I'm going to listen to their point. I listen to your point and it's bullshit. Also, I feel sad for this man. He doesn't look particularly happy to be in a Laci Green video.
Most of all, I'm a feminist because I believe in gender equality. My eyes are open. My mind is active. I know we're not there yet.
If you believed in gender equality, you wouldn't be a feminist. Your eyes are closed, your mind is only thinking about one thing, which is ways to make men's lives hell. And we're not there yet because people like you are holding us back. Well guys, that was my video about Laci Green. I don't know if I did a good job or not, so I want you guys to give me feedback in the comments section. Leave a like or dislike if you want. I will also be doing more videos like this. But tell me how this one went. Anyways, that's pretty much it. See you guys, and goodbye.
Well, I've had multiple show ideas today, but this is a good one. Meme Wars.